always wanted to take part in the Ride London 100 ever since it was introduced after the 2012 Olympics. I'd never managed to get a place in the ballots, and for some reason I didn't opt to go for a charity place. But this year the criteria was changed, and I think it's the first 10,000 people to apply automatically got a place and didn't need to worry about the ballot. So luckily I went for that and managed to get a place. So this is the story of my ride. It was a completely different route going across Essex. Some ways it's a shame that I didn't ever manage to ride up Box Hill, but from everything I've heard about it, that seemed to have been a bit of a car crash. But yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed this ride. There's a few stops and starts on the way due to accidents and so on. The ride itself was largely flat. Okay, so let's get into it. The start of the ride was really very well organised considering the amount of people taking part. I guess one of the things I wasn't surprised for was just the amount of walking there was to get to the start line. But yeah, that was perfectly understandable. It was though quite a cold morning, and waiting around in the shade out of the sun did start to get quite chilled by the time the ride actually got underway. I was enjoying the ride despite the miserable look on my face. It was a nice rolling start, slow ride, leisurely ride along the Victoria embankment. You could have gone full throttle if you want, but at the start of a 100-mile ride, my view was that, let's just take things nice and easily, settle in and get warmed up. Riding on closed roads was such a joy. It wasn't long before we were out into the Essex countryside and going through part of my old stomping ground in Epping. We then hit pretty much the only really climb of the whole ride. As you can see here, it's a climb up to 430 feet. Didn't present any problems at all. The remainder of the route itself was pretty flat. So that was 30 miles done and feeling good. It was now time to part with the 60-mile route. I had no hesitation that I was going to carry on and do the 100, although it's always nice to know that there is a get out of jail free card if you wanted it. 'And soon after that, I was halfway through the ride at the 50-mile point, still feeling good, still going strong. Quite a relief to see the second food stop, which was stocked with food, unlike the first one, which was a bit rubbish. All it was just water, energy drink, or the odd gel or bars, no real food. So luckily I had taken some of my own, but again, this was a very, very welcome break, and also a chance to have a bit of a rest. "70 miles in, still going strong." It was shortly after this point that my phone came flying off of the quad lock mount as I was going down a bit of a hill. Luckily I managed to retrieve it okay. Sorry to say that it was pure user error, nothing to do with the mount, but very happy to say that the mount itself, fantastic protection, there's absolutely no damage to the phone whatsoever. "90 miles in, just 10 or so miles left to go." By this point, my legs were really feeling it. Certainly knew that I had 90 miles in them. But all that was left to do now was just keep going and get to the finish line at Tower Bridge. That's it, job done, as I crossed the finishing line. Despite the miserable look on my face, I did really enjoy the ride. Probably just put that down to exhaustion, to be fair. Will I be back again next year? Yeah, of course I will. It was a really enjoyable ride, mainly flat, really well organised, really well signposted. Few stops and starts were mainly for people having accidents. All that was left was now to head off and collect my nice shiny wooden finisher's medal. I was very pleased with my time. It certainly beat the expectations I had for how long the ride would take me.